Hey y'all! Today we're doing something I never do. In fact, I'm not even really sure how to do it. We're gonna be doing a first impression video because I just got 3 of the new 5 Lisa Eldridge eyeshadows in the mail, and the other 2 are on their way. It's a story. I will get to it, but I cannot wait. And there's literally no point in waiting because what am I gonna do? Review 5 palettes in one video? I mean, I probably will end up doing a cumulative review and putting together my ideal palette. I think that's gonna be like my final thoughts video on them, but like, they deserve more than one video on my channel, okay? If for no other reason than Lisa Eldridge reached out to me and sent me these, okay? Like, I was screaming, I was crying. Yeah, I mean, humbling, grateful. Where do I begin? But yeah, we're gonna do a full face of everything that I have from Lisa Eldridge, and we're going to chat through the palettes on a first impression basis. So let's go ahead and jump in. So I have Cinnabar, Muse, and Sorcery. I want to call it Soiree because it's like the fancy one, and that's also the name of the Olivia Palermo one that it kind of reminds me of. So anyway, Sorcery. It's about to get real. I'm going to use something that I have not used on camera in a long time, but this is the Lisa Eldridge foundation. I'm going to mix it with my Vita Liberata Beauty Blur because I have been using this like typology stuff. I talked about it a while back, but it's like a self-tanning carob kind of thing that just like very softly tints your skin. I'm getting a chemical peel today or a facial or whatever my esthetician decides to do, so it'll probably all come off by like tomorrow, but regardless, my skin's a little bit darker today. Do not adjust your televisions. So yeah, I cannot believe that Lisa Eldridge reached out to me. Basically, I had reached out to her about something else a while back, and she was just so sweet and sincere, and I honestly didn't know, and I think I have talked with her team through the profile, her Instagram account, and also apparently now I've spoken directly to her, and I was just so blown away. I hadn't talked about it really on social media at all or anything, and she just reached out to me and was like, I think that you'll really like my new palettes, you know, can I send you 3 of them? And I was like, absolutely. She offered, you know, 3 of them, one of which I had already bought. And I was like, actually, I already bought Muse and Vega. No, not Muse, Myth and Vega. And she was like, okay, well, I'll send you the other 3. Well, those came sooner, and they came yesterday, and I've already stuck my fingers in them and swatched them and stuff. Is actually really cute because I swatched them all on the back of my hand, and my kid like runs over, he's 2, and he like runs over and like wants to know what I'm doing. I was like, do you want to touch it? And he's like, because like he was eating an apple or something, and he was just like not, the 2 things didn't go together in his mind. But I was like, look, and he goes, Mama, eyes. And I was like, yeah, isn't it pretty? He's like, yeah. So he approves. It's Simon approved. I guess so it's not really like, it's a first impression application. I've already swatched them. I'm definitely not that person who, I mean, there have been things where I have felt that way initially, but I'm not that person who just is like, well, I can't touch it. It's too nice. It's too nice. I can't use it. I'm like, no, the point is to use it. So I love her foundation. I love it so much. And look at how evenly it goes on. And it's so light. It's so lightweight. I love it. Yeah, it's so beautiful. So beautiful. Well, you know, y'all, I think we're just gonna prime and go right in, and then I will do the rest of my face like afterwards because I have no idea. Like, I don't think it's gonna fall out or anything, but I just don't know where it's going yet. Again, I have no idea. I'm totally unprepared to do a first impression, which is a little bit hilarious because that's the point. So here they are. I have 3 of them. So like I said, Muse, Sorcery, and Cinnabar. I have to say, just on swatches, Sorcery is the one. If you are a textured eyeshadow person, it's the one. Mainly because of this thing, this wild color right here called Mercurial. Yeah, Luminous Duo. So I guess that means it's got a flip, you know? Look at that color! So you've already seen all of Lisa's swatches, but I'll go ahead and swatch them for you anyway. I was pleasantly surprised by the unique to one another nature of the formulas. Like, you start to really see why there are 6 different formulas, not in every single palette, but there's 6 different formulas in the shadows spread across the palettes. They're $68 a piece. And like I said, I already bought 2 of them and they'll be arriving soon. But if you're unfamiliar with this release, Lisa's video does a really good job of explaining like the differences between like there's different mattes and different satins and different shimmers. You know, like they have unique, but I would say subtly unique qualities about them. And I feel like even just swatching them, you see, you know, it's like some of the shimmers are different, some of the mattes are different from each other. And I'm just genuinely really impressed by that. Wow. Wow, I thought that was like black. It's green, y'all. Woo-wee. Sorcery, Sorcery's kind of the one, okay? Like, look at that, it's so freaking pretty. So, after watching Home Tom do a lot of first impressions videos, they always point out the packaging and like what it's like to interact with the packaging versus your, you know, expectations. Lighter in your hand, but not by any means chintzy feeling, but it's not like a weapon the way that like the Olivia Palermo palettes are. It's still metal, but it feels like aluminum, not like, you know, cast iron. So yeah, it's much more comfortable to hold in your hand, but it does feel like if you were expecting it to be, you know, a weight in and of itself, that you might accidentally chuck it across the room kind of thing, because it's very, very lightweight. And this actual like palette experience, 6 pans is a lovely amount to have in this size. I was really afraid that it was going to be super teeny tiny the way that the Victoria Beckham ones are, which I don't really object to this. I think that it is, you know, a perfectly fine little palette. It's not unusable, but these are generously sized pans, like width-wise, for you to get a brush in or get your finger in, which is really nice. You don't feel like you're playing with kid makeup. It feels elegant. It feels like a perfect size to hold in your hand, a perfect way to hold 6 shadows in your hand, and it feels like a complete thought. Let's swatch Muse next. It is a little hard to open unless you have like a fingernail to work with. So there's that. I won't be surprised if at some point I just stick my finger in there. Now, I mean, that is like, this is half of my vibe today, right? With the turquoise sweatshirt. But then, you know, the pink is the other half. It's not like she didn't say this, but this one doesn't have any of the like really magpie kind of like, you know, duochrome textures to it. And I would say that if you're going to be the most excited about those, there's only a handful of them. Like, it might be worth paying the $19 per shadow to just get those freaky deaky cool weird ones, you know? If like none of the like composed palettes super appeal to you as like something that's gonna be super unique in your collection. Now, sure, there aren't those, you know, wild, intoxicating, spacey colors in Cinnabar. Muse, Cinnabar is what it's called in Muse, but man, that matte is just out of this world. Like, you touch it and you're just like, oh, yeah, it's really wonderful. So that's 4 of them. Which 4 is the question? Oh no. Okay, there we go. So yeah, gorgeous, really high performing, you know, just, you feel it on your finger. It's just got this lovely, luxurious feeling to it, like a slip and a grip, and it comes off the fingers really well, which is nice. You know, like I was talking about that, especially when something is really slick, a lot of times it'll go on your finger, but it won't come off your finger onto, you know, where you're trying to put it. But it is more practical and less maybe exciting for the magpies out there. And then we have Cinnabar. And this is just, honestly, it's like someone took Muse and just like richened it up, because yeah, you know, it is brown copper versus like pink, but at the same time, it has enough pink in it for me. And these, oh man, these textured shadows are just ridiculous. Like, this one is super, super good. So, all right. What, I wish you could touch that. That is just the wildest thing. That is bronzite. Holy potatoes, that thing feels incredible. No, stop focusing on my earring. Stop focusing on my earring, dadgummit, stop. that one at the bottom right there is just like wild to touch. And then so is Lost Summer. I love the names. She's just so romantic about the way that she talks about everything. You're just like, oh, I have the fantasy. Like I buy the fantasy, I own the fantasy, it is the fantasy. And then there is, this one is called Ritual. And it's a beautiful topper that's like got shimmer to it, but it's not super, like there's not a lot of color to it. And then there are 3 mattes in there. I said that like Marta Rose. 3 mattes. Meow, meow, and meow. Some really pretty warm mattes. So I think I'm going to play in Cinnabar and then touch into Sorcery today. Meow, meow. I'm gonna wipe these off so I don't get them all over me. I'm wearing white pants like an idiot. I already had a nosebleed this morning. I'm really asking for it. I was just like sitting here and I was like, what is that sensation? What is happening? Oh no. And it was in my not usual nosebleed nostril. So we're mixing it up. All right, I'm gonna prime. I'm not sure that I have to, but there's really like nothing on my eyes right now because I haven't even put on concealer yet. So I'm going in with my Kaleidos Tone Activator. I'm just gonna put that everywhere pretty much. Because I'll put concealer, I'll clean up with concealer and stuff afterwards. I will say, interacting with her packaging is just, it's quite lovely. And it really, like all of this feels like the same idea. What is Lisa's astrological, her sun sign? October 26th, that's when my little boy was due. But he was born a month early. But yeah, he would have been a Scorpio, so she's a Scorpio. Deep feelsy Scorpio. I gave myself a haircut today and it like made my hair greasy because I was using a comb that I had used to cut my husband's hair and his hair was greasy when I did it. And so I put a bunch of baby powder in my hair because I'm out of dry shampoo and I forgot how much baby powder just makes your hair a staticky mess. And so that's where we're at. All right, I'm going to start with the A502 and it feels intuitive to dip into this one right here in Cinnabar. Here we go. Now, this one is supposed to be the seamless matte. I mean, it is the seamless matte. It's supposed to be, and it is. I forget. There's like one matte that is, you know, true matte, and then the other one is almost like a cream to powder. But this one does feel like a cream to powder. It's beautiful. Like you can see the way that the brush dips into it and kind of makes a mark, and then you can kind of use the brush to wipe the mark away. So it has a lovely amount of grip to it. See? And then it feathers super easily. It really does feel like you're applying a cream, but like a beautiful matte cream that's not trying to like run away and dry down on you. I think Amanda would find these very appealing because she loves a good cream eyeshadow. But I would say that the disadvantage that gets me about cream shadows a lot of times is just that difficulty to control them. And this is just right in between. Yeah, that's like one of the coolest, like most unique matte formulas that I've ever felt. And I'm not even sure that that's the one that she said is supposed to be like a cream to powder. But it really just feels like painting. But painting with powder. And it goes on really evenly. Look at that. Look at the blur. Yeah, I definitely didn't need to prime because it really feels like it's got its own primer in it. So the other, let's see, that one's really doesn't have any color to it. I'm going to dip into Deep Ochre. Here. She says ochre. I'm just kind of establishing my light and shadow here. Seeing how they layer. I do like the amount of control that I get with them. They're not running away from me. You know how sometimes it's like it fluffs in the wrong direction. There's not a lot of fluff happening here. There's a lot of blending, but almost no fluff. It's actually incredible how much they stick. But not like a Natasha Denona shadow the way that it's like stiff and dry. This is like a putty kind of stick, but it also spreads really evenly without being that like, I don't know, that weird feeling where it's like gliding on top of the skin that you get from Anastasia or something, where you kind of have to work to get it to commit. There's none of that. She said they blend themselves, and they are, it's kind of funny. They feel like they're kind of reading your mind a little bit. That's a really, really obviously uncorroboratable promise for makeup, but it does. It kind of feels like it's like, oh, you wanted to put that right here, didn't you? And you're like, yeah, I did. I feel like I barely tried, but like I did. So cool, 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 cool. You know? Feels like it's kind of like on your side, not working against you. I'm gonna grab, this has all been on the same brush too. I'm grabbing that colorless shade that's just a really beautiful shimmer. That shade is called Ritual. It's called a top coat formula. And throwing that on there. Not bad at all. Let's move into some fun here and see if these are colors that I can wear. Because I know me, and I know in the past it's been hard for me to wear things that commit this far towards blue. And it might just be that I'm seeing blue there and thinking, oh my gosh, like, you know, everything is blue. But I think we can, as long as I kind of steer clear of that blue for right now, like it really needs to be something I organize my entire look around. And I want to play with a few more shades than that. I think that could work. I think that could potentially work. This is a little scary, the dark green. And what is this one? Oh my God, that's so pretty. I have to use that. That's so pretty. Ah, they're all really pretty. It's kind of funny how when I swatch them, I'm like, these are the most exciting ones, and they're also the ones that scare me the most. I'm just like, oh no, I can really make a mess with these. I want control, and so I'm gonna start with my finger here, and I'm going to dip into Mage, this beautiful metallic, like, seafoam. I'm gonna show up, my esthetician's gonna be like, where are you coming from? Yeah, they all have this really fantastic grip to them. It's a lot like the Makeup by Mario formula that I like before he kind of reformulated it for the recent palette. The way that like you dip your finger in it and you feel your finger like become one with the shadow. And that's how these feel. I really like that feeling, and I thought that it was only going to be in that matte, and it's in that one too. I think it's gonna probably be in most of them. Is that what I wanna do? It's what I'm doing, so I hope so. Okay, that was a little bit, that's Grotto. That's the metallic. It's just not really giving me as much as I thought that it was going to. I was kind of hoping for something a little bit less sheer than that, and it is quite sheer. Maybe now we go with that lime colored one instead on top of it. Yeah, it's kind of chartreuse-ish. But truth be told, what are we really doing here? We're leading up to me using that top coat because it's ridiculous. I wanna go in my inner corner with something bright. I mean, might as well dip into Muse, right? It's here. I'm using, is that Tea Room or Vintage Mulberry? Oh geez, I don't know. Vintage Mulberry. I'm gonna grab Tomorrow's Party right here. Great name. And I'm gonna put that on my outer corner here. Pull some burgundy in. Okay, green is hard for me. I'm just gonna say it, green is hard for me. Like, as those textures go, they're the most intoxicating, but the green color itself is very, very difficult for me to wear. Okay, I'm going to, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go in with Mercurial here, because why are you here really, other than that, right? And I put that lighter shade on the inner corner so that something would be under this, because it is a little bit more of a topper. It's a little bit more sheer, and I wanted to have that lightness there, but I honestly feel like it's going to just camouflage all of it, which I'm not really mad about. I'm not angry about. I'm mad about it, darling. Yeah, I wonder if this will pick up on a brush. I'm not really banking on it. Yeah, it's kind of more of a fingers sort of thing. There we go. Okay, huh. I really like the formulas. I'm not sure about what I did. So I'm actually gonna go with this green and like chase that feeling, that deep green, because we gotta get something that makes some sense here, because we've got cool on the lids and we got warm in the crease, and it's just weirdly like flattening everything out. Maybe that blue actually does need to happen, but we're gonna do this for now. Yeah, that's gonna bring it together. Yep. They do layer really well too. I feel like you could pick this up on a doorknob and blend it. It's so, I mean, this is like not a super high quality brush. I just really like the shape of it. And I mean, you could pick this up on the end of a chopstick and blend it. It's giving mermaid. That green is surprising to me because it's definitely not something that I thought I would be able to wear really well, and it's beautiful. I think that putting brown behind it helped, you know, because it's like doing that thing where it's helping it blend into my skin, but you don't need an eyeshadow to do that. You can do it with your bronzer. I kind of want to stick some of the blue in there, but the blue is shimmery, so I'm gonna refrain. I don't want to get like completely out of hand. I feel like I got thrown a bone. Like this is working and I need to just take my W, you know? This shade right here, Fired Earth, is a seamless matte, and it's like this really beautiful, like cool toned brown. And I feel like that's exactly what I need to like complete the illusion right here to get the drama. There's a lot to that shade. More than I was expecting. Taking my first brush that I was working with and going back into the shade that I started with right here and blurring the edges out. This is looking really nice. It's looking really nice. I do feel like I'm gonna want a little bit of like pink or something else like up here area at some point. Maybe it's this color right here. It's just like it needs a touch of warmth. And it'll be a good test to see if you can actually take a tiny bit of this shadow and really spread it out instead of focusing it. I would say the answer is yes. So like I said, I'm taking that kind of top middle shade right there, this one, and I'm using that to blur kind of this no man's land of my eye shape here, so that it's not just white, because then when I look forward, you lose most of the eye look. So it's like you have to add something there for it to make sense. This is still looking pretty like glowy and stark. I think now is the time that green that I tried to put on, I think that's when it comes in. This one right here, you know? I think that's its purpose. Yep, is to just kind of bridge that. Do you see that huge difference that makes eye to eye? How it makes it look so much more complete and so much more dimensional, intentional, luxurious. Yeah, that's giving me everything. Little bit of the deep green. Okay, you know what? I'm calling that my first eye look with these. So I'm gonna just zoom through the rest of my makeup here and y'all can just vibe. gonna give this a spritz here. That'll probably calm my hair down too. All right, I wanna make sure that I'm not missing anything while I'm talking about this. I'm gonna go on our website really fast. 5 ultra chic and playful eyeshadow palettes housed in beautiful, bespoke, slim and elegant compacts. Each one contains a curation of 6 totally harmonious and complementary shades in my own unique, easy to blend, microplastic and talc-free, high performance formulas. The thoughtfully crafted mirrored compact in my signature soft gold is embossed with my lips monogram in perfect synergy with my aesthetic. The compact features a simple golden seam in keeping with my iconic award-winning seamless skin foundation bottle, and its ultra slim portable design sits so beautifully in the hand. It's actually like all the observations that I made actually are like obviously extremely intentional. Like they're all things that she very much intended for you to feel. So it feels very complete in that sense. Like it's just a very complete thought. Whether you like it or it's for you, it's completely unique to the individual, but she did what she set out to do. That is my main takeaway from my first impression. My camera died mid-sentence. Taking the opportunity to put on some clear brow gel real quick. Finish everything out. I would use the Kamiko because it's the one that Lisa recommended and I bought it and I loved it, but I loved it so much that I emptied it. She's finished. Y'all, I don't know if you noticed, but I look really cute. Okay, so the other two that are on the way that I bought that I don't have yet are Vega and Myth. And you can very easily see why those, if I was going to buy them for myself, those are the ones that I would buy because they're just the colors that I like to wear. But Myth goes a little far in the purple direction and Vega goes a little far in the like gray blue direction. I, though, now that I have seen the way that these colors come together in their actual compact, the way that they're composed together, I trust the vision. Do you know what I mean? It's easy to look at this and be like, yikes, you know, at least for me, like I look at that and I'm like, yikes, like that's a bright blue, that's a really deep, I thought this was gonna be like almost black. It would not be as functional of a palette without that deep matte green. It really is the only shade that could have unified this color story, and it does an epic job of it. And I feel that throughout these. I think that her process, the way she described it, of these being the kinds of custom palettes that she ends up creating to be able to grab for certain occasions when she is doing makeup for celebrities or on set or for, you know, different events and things and for different people, obviously. The unique situations that their looks present, and she just has like certain vibes in mind, and like that's what informed these decisions. I doubted it at first. I did, but like especially trying Sorcery, this one being probably the one that scared me the most out of all of them. Like I can fully say, I get it, and she knows. There was no hasty decision making here. Like this is, yes, like she took the time and dialed it in. I think that the word I used when I was like chatting about this to other people was, I was like, all the color stories feel really on the nose. You know, it's like, this is green, this is purple, this is pink, this is brown. But I think that I also have, like, I have to take a step back from the expectations that have been set by many, many, many years now in this end of the industry, where I'm just consuming, and getting a little bit cynical about new releases a lot of times, being like, is that unique? Is that different? Is that useful within that context? Instead of from the standpoint of someone who doesn't buy makeup at anywhere near the clip that I do, what's gonna be something practical and what's gonna be something that someone really enjoys and feels like is worth $68, 68 American dollars. I feel like for these color stories, not only like for the normal makeup user, for the everyday makeup user who wants to get up and get ready and look pretty in a way that they can like control and predict and have fun with, it is an accessory to their life. It is not actually the main character of their life. These are incredibly practical. And then she takes it one step further from the practical and says, okay, like I understand that there are people who are like passionate about textures and creativity and artistry who are going to want more options than this. And so therefore I'm going to offer these as singles. I also understand that there are going to be people who want to buy these for their kits, and I want them to be able to replace those singles and things like that. Hannah was talking in her new makeup hot takes about this, and she's like, I kind of feel like there was probably a reason that we will find out at some point that they didn't initially create it like a, you know, make your own palette kind of thing like Lethal Cosmetics has. It might just be an interface thing, like a UI UX kind of thing, you know, and they wanted to put it out on a certain timeline. Y'all, there are gazillions of reasons that something doesn't come out on time or comes out differently than it was originally envisioned by the artist. And honestly, I would say that that is the only questionable part of this release. It's like, huh, okay, like it feels like it comes just shy of having a completely customizable option, and we're all a little mystified as to why. But if you have to choose these concepts, you know, if that's kind of your starting point that you're sort of shoehorned into, I have to say I had my doubts, but they make sense. They might not all be the most exciting, but they all make perfect sense to me. Especially, like I said, having touched the one that truly scared me the most and it looking, dare I say, dynamite. Now I do want to talk about the formula. Like that was kind of my whole thesis on her concept versus the execution, expectation versus reality. And I am overall pleasantly surprised. But as far as the formulas, I feel like because Lisa is so passionate about what she does, you do get caught up in the fantasy, and a lot of times you kind of lose what makes them different from other shadows. She's never going to speak ill of other shadows. She's classier than that. But she does say that there's no fallout. That's one of the things that she says, is there's no fallout. She says it, I think, 3 or 4 different times throughout the video, and I really locked on to that. Like, that's a big claim, you know? And man, that's the one, that's the claim, that's the thing that these deliver on, okay? When you're working with them, they're funky. I almost want to say that they might work best on synthetic brushes, just because they are all so gel to powder. They feel a lot like the House Labs bronzer, you know, and not just the mattes. All of them kind of feel like that, where it's like, I mean, I think that there are a couple of toppers and maybe some that I don't have or haven't gotten to like use yet that have a little bit more of, like I said, that glide over the top of the skin topper vibe to them. But the ones that you want to stick, it's really like working with a putty paint. It's cool. And better than the ones in like the Isomea palette. The ones in the Isomea palette are black and they just go on gray. There's not enough kind of like sooty packing of color. And I'm not super passionate about black eyeshadows to begin with. It's just not something that looks super awesome on me. And so it's not my chief complaint. I use the rest of the palette happily. But this is a variety of colors in a gel to powder texture. It's like super finely milled, but it has a lot of grip to it that's really useful. Like, it's incredibly useful, and it's gonna make the beauty beginner feel like an expert because it doesn't do anything unexpected. And when I say unexpected, I shouldn't say that. It doesn't do anything that's like an unpleasant surprise. You don't do anything and you're like, oh crap, I got it, you know, underneath my eye or something. Like, if you stick this on your pinky and you touch right here, this part isn't going to like fall out underneath your eye. It sticks. It's funky and it's talc free and it's just really cool. I think they're probably really silicone-y. I'm gonna look at the formulas real quick. Dimethicone is the 4th ingredient, the 5th ingredient, the 6th ingredient, the 8th ingredient. So a lot of Lisa Eldridge's formulas really do hinge on lightweight silicones in a good way, not in like a Patrick Ta cream foundation kind of way, in a, it just feels lighter than air on the skin and it behaves better than most things that you've interacted with lately kind of thing. And that isn't some, it's not just like a more is better kind of thing with silicones. I do feel like you have to be smart about the way that you use them and which ones you use and, like, you know, the formulas that you make with them and everything, because they can get too slippy, too slick, too slimy feeling, you know? And I really feel like that's what's dialed in about this. They are quite silicone-y. They kind of remind me of Tati's original satin shadows, except hers had Teflon in them. Like, they were wild. And I feel like they almost had trouble picking up on a brush. As a result, these will pick up on a brush actually really beautifully. And the way that they blend, it's hard, it's really hard to explain, but it's a lot like painting with like a matte cream. That's how it feels. And they're really unique. I feel like she does a good job of explaining it, but again, it's like almost better to have someone else toot the horn for her and say like, no, it's special. Like, it's a special amount of creaminess. Creamy matte commitment. So yeah, that's my first impression of these, y'all. Look forward to probably another Lisa Eldridge palette video every week for a little while. We're just gonna keep playing with them because this is just such a cool release. Again, I don't even have 2/5 of the collection in my hands right now, and I'm this excited about it, and we really only got to touch into, what, like maybe 1/3 of the shadows here total on my eyeballs today. So leave your requests down below of how you wanna see these combined and things like that. I am excited to do that for you, and then the end result is probably going to be like putting together my ideal 6-pan. So stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't already. I hope y'all enjoyed this. If you did, please subscribe. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, please subscribe. I'm going to stick another video right here that I picked out specially for you. Special for you. I love y'all, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. And if I did not express my gratitude enough, thank you, Lisa, for blessing me by sending me these. It's just so cool. It's just such an honor. So thank you.